My Missing Piece, a collection of stories from amputees for anyone navigating loss, reclaiming strength, and redefining possibility. The Amputee Center and Ohio University's College of Health Sciences and Professions are proud to collaborate in launching an innovative podcast series that highlights resilience, empowerment, and community. This partnership unites expertise in education and rehabilitation to amplify the voices of amputees, share inspiring stories, and foster meaningful conversations on accessibility and well-being. By leveraging the Amputee Center's deep-rooted commitment to advocacy and CHSP's studio resources, this initiative will serve as a platform for education, inclusion, and support for individuals navigating life after losing a limb. We are excited to bring this vision to life and create lasting impact together. Well, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Today we have Steve Lamp and his beautiful wife, Martha, and his daughter, Amanda. And I thank you guys for coming here today, as this is a library for amputees and amputee stories, and an opportunity to share, hopefully, a story that somebody can find later that would help them through something. And it's, like I said, you might not ever share your story. So this is the time to get all out. I will say in my position, as I approach amputees on a daily basis, I'll pick up pieces of your story of who you are, and of course I care who you are more than how you lost your leg.
Right.
But this has been, for each time that I record them, I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. So this is my first time having all of this input, which I think is so important. So you guys can go with it and let me know what you want to share. But what I always like to start with is life before the amputation.
Mm-hmm.
So what was life like?
Well, I was a young man
Once.
once. No, I did like to hunt and fish and camp, and we did a lot of things, traveled. And Martha was a flight attendant for U.S. Airways, and so I got to travel all the time.
Not long.
It was.
I thought to work.
Yeah, 2 words, and I traveled for free. Our daughter lived in England, so it cost me $50 to fly to England.
Wow.
So I would do that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And but other than that, just same things I do now, practically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you have, like, what was your career?
Oh, I worked at DuPont.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I
So-
worked there for 31 years.
Okay. And then you all have how many children?
We have two.
Two.
Two children and 8, 9, 10, 11 grandchildren.
8 grandchildren and 3 great grandchildren.
Oh, there we get the greats.
Yeah.
That's why we have her
Great
here.
there.
You lose gout. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, that's the biggest thing of, like, did you, in your time, right before amputation, did you know any amputees?
No, I don't believe I did.
Mm-hmm. I spend any time around any part of the world of disability, as I say in quotations. So what I like to shine a light on is just that, life changes in a minute, right?
Yes.
So just talk about the days before, the day of, what happened and how you lost your leg.
Okay. I was on a 7-day break from work, and the day it happened, it was a beautiful sunny day, one Thursday, and Martha had gone to work. So I went to work. I was going to work the next day, so I decided to go for a ride on my Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And so I'd been out riding 2 or 3 hours, and I was coming home, and I was at a light, and I could see my house, but then I remembered I needed to go to the bank. So I turned right, took off to the bank, and about half a mile away from where I was at, a car. We were down in front of the Coca-Cola plant, or I was in front of the Coca-Cola plant in Astorg.
On 7th Street?
On 13th Street.
13th. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And just as I got in front of almost to the Coke plant, something caught my attention, and I looked to my left, and I could just see the word Jeep, and boom, I was gone. And so when I did finally land, stop, move, rolling, I was laying on my left side and looking down at my leg, because that's where the pain was. And I remember thinking to myself, I lost my foot. So I sat up on my butt and looked down to my legs. There my foot was pointing back up at me. But what caught my attention was there was a boot on it. I had a Harley Davidson boots on, and it was just a sock. And so that caught my, first felt, wow, out of the boot. And then I started to get up, and some guy that was there put his hand on my shoulder and said, just stay still here. There's no blood. I'm going to put a belt around it. So he put a belt around my leg. And then I don't remember a whole lot after that. I must have been in shock or something, because it in and out. But the fire department was only a block away. And so it was there real quick. And they took care of me. And I laid there for a while, I guess. And while two or three of them worked on my leg, while one guy sat up with me. Then I went to the hospital. I don't remember much after that.
Mm-hmm.
And now Martha, she
Yeah. What was your point of view that day?
At that time I was working for WVU Parkersburg, and we had a new president, and it was his birthday. So we were having cake over in one of the meeting rooms, and somebody came and got me.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the hospital's on the phone for you. Your husband's been in an accident. I'm like, okay. So they're like, we need you to come down to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I have a question. Is he dead?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no. I'm like, okay, good. Because now I can drive.
Right.
But then when I got there and walked into the emergency room, they said, oh, we have a conference room for you. Well, I worked at that hospital for 21 years, and I know what that means.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting. The chaplain comes, and it's still like, I don't know what's happening. Well, it turns out they didn't have a conference room for me, so they took me back to Trauma 1. And they had cut most of his clothing off. He wasn't back there. Blood everywhere. And somebody did come in and told me that he had a motorcycle accident, and he was in radiology. So I called. I think I called you. Yeah. And then we just kind of waited. They brought him back from x-ray, and I worked at the hospital 21 years. One of the girls that came back with him was one of the techs that I'd worked with, and the doctor said, we think we saw that foot move, and we have a surgeon waiting and over in the OR.
Mm-hmm.
And she's standing behind the doctor, and she's like, well, things kind of transpired, and they finally said, we don't think we're going to be able to save it. We're going to go ahead and send him to Charleston. So they had the life flight, but they needed to clean the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So they did that, and it started to bleed again. So then they had to get the bleeding stopped, and then storms rolled in. So they couldn't leave. So it was several hours of waiting. And I went ahead, once they took him, I went home, and actually, sounds terrible, but I took a shower because I didn't know. When am I going to get another one? I mean, he's in good hands. There's nothing I can do. So, got my shower, got some stuff to pull together, and went to the hospital. And there were probably 15 people there at that point with our family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we wait. And I did talk to the doctor when I was on my way. She called and said, we're not going to be able to save that foot. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So anyway, you get together with family, even if it's a funeral,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we were worried, we're all together.
Mm-hmm.
When she finished his surgery, her nurse came out, and it turned out to be a girl that had been a neighbor of Steve's.
Mm-hmm.
And she said everything went really well. And she said, Dr. Bashar said you can come back. So I went back with my grandson, her son, Dylan. She showed us the x-rays and why they had to do what they did. And she said, he tells us he's going to be doing a half marathon in August. And he talked about it a lot.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Mm-hmm.
That was very positive because he started bleeding again too. So we had to leave. They had to do a little bit more tweaking, but that was very positive because for the days after that we were in the hospital, everybody that walked in the room said to him, "Here, you're doing a half marathon in August," and that forced positive,
Mm-hmm.
not negative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
At that
Um,
point, nobody
yeah,
discouraged that. You know?
no, we know he had a lot of company. He has a lot of people that care. Visited. He had an epidural while he was in the hospital. For his doctor said that she had read that if you can deaden the nerves so they do not remember the pain,
Mm.
that you will have less phantom pain. So they did an epidural, but nobody knew how to do an epidural on the orthopedic floor because that's an OB/GYN thing. So we went to surgery for that. And that was interesting because they didn't turn any alarms on. They put in the epidural, and they even we had some company show up, and they let them back too. We were in the recovery room. And Steve says, "Boy, it's really getting dark in here." And so the friends that were with us, the surgeon walked by, and he said it's getting dark. Well, he was completely tanking. No alarms on, no nothing. So it was so scary because they start pushing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fluids, the bags. And that was probably the scare of all of that was probably the scariest part was that day.
So when they gave him the epidural, like his blood pressure dropped, or is that?
Yeah, it was the anesthetic.
Oh.
So this,
Mhm.
so his surgeon described him as a lightweight, because it was what they would just give anybody in labor.
Right. I was gonna
Basically
say
the same thing, and people do not tank on that.
Yeah, I've
He
had my
did.
fair share of them. So yeah.
So so that was probably the day after it happened, and then they did have to go back in and take a little bit more off, but she left it long to make sure. She didn't know how much tissue depth there would be, because he'd had a tourniquet on way too long. Between the helicopter ride and cleaning the wound and waiting, she said, "I don't know what more tissue depth we're going to have." So he had another surgery, probably 3 days, 4 days into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he'll start remembering things now, but a lot of that for him was a blur.
right, yeah. I mean, just the adrenaline and the trauma and Amanda,
Yes.
how was that day?
Well, I was going to comment when he said how he looked down on, and he noticed that his boot was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're in, I can't look at you. When you're in trauma like that, the things that pop into your head that are important at that time are so, like, why are you thinking about your boot? But like when you're in a traumatic situation, it's just the first thing that popped in your head.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and my boot was still on the motorcycle. When she hit me, my highway bar wrapped around my boot. And it was fortunate. I felt very fortunate that I didn't roll with a motorcycle, that my foot did come out of the boot.
Oh,
And the boot, it was ripped in 5 places.
so the impact, you said it was a Jeep. So the impact, did that cause the amputation, or you said the bar wrapped?
Oh, the car.
The car pressing your leg against the motorcycle?
I think it totaled the Jeep. It,
We have
It folded the fender all the way. It rolled the fender all the way back to the door. The bumper was gone. The hood was all crushed. She was traveling very fast, and she was just. I mean, she had to be sitting still, waiting for traffic to clear before she shot across there.
She was going across an intersection.
Mm-hmm. Was she injured?
No,
Okay.
she was dropping her husband off. He worked at Asteroid, and I don't know this. I've never told this, but yeah, I think they were out to lunch, and then he. I mean, I feel sorry for her, but that she had to go through that. But
it's a lot. I do ask that, and that does come up, right, to the person, the human that you interacted with, even in those moments. You know, it affects everyone involved. So, how long were you in the hospital? Do you guys does he remember?
I'm gonna say we were there 5 days.
Yeah,
It wasn't a whole long time. And then they discharged him to Encompass. Yeah, and he didn't like that, but he needed to be there, and it was interesting. And you'll remember this, but I had come over from work to visit, and this gentleman came in.
Red.
We didn't know him. You do remember him. Go ahead.
Yeah, his name was Red. He was an amputee, but he would always go around visiting other amputees, people who were injured and lost legs or whatnot. However they lost their leg were amputee. But he was from down around Ravenswood or Ripley, I believe. And so he just came up and talked to me and stuff.
But you couldn't tell the man was an amputee because he had on pants. There was no limp. There was no, and he basically was told Steve. He said, "You're going to be able to do everything you did before."
That's powerful. Even if there's unknowns, just to be like
something positive. Yeah, life is not going to be over, because we didn't know anything about amputation. We didn't know anything. Well, how any of that even worked. They visited us from it was the discharge planner that visited us at CAMC and was trying to set us up with an appointment at some point, but it would have been in Charleston, and we didn't set anything up. We came back to Parkersburg, and while he was at Encompass, a friend of ours brought in a newspaper article. Remember this?
No.
It was about Mark Miller.
Oh.
And Miller Prosthetics and the way that they were doing their sockets. I must say that was the first time we heard Mark Miller's name.
Go ahead.
Then I got a text message from a fella that I had known over the years. Actually, he knew my mother better. He knew me. But he said, "I tell you what, when Steve gets ready to get a prosthetic, he needs to go to Mark Miller." That's two. He gets out of Health South, and I used to push him every day. I pushed him around the park in a wheelchair. And we decided on one Saturday to go to the Point. They had a kayak bike shop down at the Parkersburg Point. And a friend of mine owned that. So,
and a guy I work with.
Yeah. So we were pushed in there, and I'm talking to Kim, and I said, "So we keep hearing about a guy named Mark Miller." And she said, "He's right out there." And he was, and he had on a pink bike helmet.
Oh my goodness. That's divine.
It is.
Yeah.
That's like 3 times. Yeah, that's where we're going. But that's been a big blessing.
And he's right here. Ta-da.
Yeah, it was right out there. Wow. So I went out and talked to him.
And this was it'd been in April. He lost his leg April
9th.
Okay, we're still in the month of April at that point.
Yeah.
So what was the date of the accident?
April 9th.
April 9th at 12:30 in the afternoon.
On
What year? You just had your 10-year anniversary, right?
Oh, 10 years, yeah.
2015. Yeah. And you were how old?
46.
46.
Oh, first 50.
Really? He was 56.
I was 56.
56. Okay. Okay. You're down 26.
Yeah.
If the math is right.
We were just talking about something else that I had that I was 46 when that happened. That's why I said
So the day of the amputation, or so the day of the amputation, then here in April, yeah. So it's been 10
Yeah.
years because I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
it's your ampuversary.
yeah. And finally, when I finally got home, she had a bedroom downstairs for me
Mm-hmm.
fixed up, and so in the mornings when she would go to work, I would go out on the front porch and sit for several hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd go back in. She'd fix me breakfast, bring my coffee out,
Wow.
just sit there.
Yeah.
But his sister lived next door,
Mm.
and so she could come over and check
Mm-hmm.
because he was on crutches at that point and having to keep the leg elevated. It was I can't even describe how swollen. A leg this size
Oh,
was
yeah,
about this
it was weird.
size, and then he had a great big hematoma
Mm-hmm.
that we had to take care of too. So
Yeah.
that went on. I think most of a month.
I remember coming over and
Mhm.
helping
Mhm.
clean your
Yeah.
residual limb and
Mhm.
bandaging it. And I am not, that's not my field. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably be really good at it, but I can't stomach it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, what was the experience from the eyes of like the grandkids?
So they were, so how old was Dylan? He was probably, I think he would have been 17, 18, close to, well, 15, 17.
Mm-hmm.
And Cameron, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then Griffin and Grayson were little, so they really didn't understand, but they were really scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They brought their Xbox over and set it up where we had a little room in the back of our house, and that's where I made his bedroom. And they brought that Xbox over, and they would come over and try to play Xbox.
Yeah, but they always
But they-
did a lot with my parents.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they were really close. And yeah, it was really hard for them. But
Yeah.
they knew he'd pull through.
Yeah.
And it was
Well, so I wanted to mention too, which anybody that knows my dad knows that he has 9 lives, but I think he's used all those up. He's probably on like 15, 20. He's a lot of mishaps and
Yeah.
he's been through it. So
So, when so now you're home, what was like the rehabilitation, or did they give you options of physical therapy or occupational therapy?
well, the therapy was. Oh, I was there 9 days, I think.
At Encompass.
And
That's the only
I
time.
walked on a walker. I sat in a ring with a bunch of older people than me, and we'd throw a ball, bounce it, and they would try to, and we'd catch it. Right? Well, I did that, hit the ground, the ball walked up, smacked some lady right in the face, and then she closed her hands. Oh man, I felt bad.
So they kicked you out of the circle.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah. They said, Steve's not allowed to play with us anymore.
Yeah, don't play with you.
Oh.
But anyway, that's
Hmm.
it was. What was I going to say? But
as far as
Just
therapy goes,
regimen,
That was
like
it.
that was
if
it,
you,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Part of my therapy was 2 months after I lost my leg in June. Martha and she pulled my trailer out to Indiana, and I bought a 3-wheel motorcycle.
Yep.
Spider. Got a Can-Am
Yeah.
Spider.
It was a Spider, a Can-Am Spider. It had this thumb shifter on the left side, so I didn't have to shift. I didn't have to shift. So I rode that for several times that year, and then I had it for 3 years. The third year I didn't ride it much because it was a 3-wheeler and just wasn't. I'd like to lean and then turn and stuff, and I never rode it much in the third year, so I ended up selling it.
Mhm. Okay, so that answers the question of did you ever get back on a bike after that experience? Because again, creating this library, those key things are like when you have something that you've had that experience, and if you love to ride a motorcycle, you're gonna love to ride it, and
Yeah.
I'm curious though, like what your experience was with the accident and with insurance, and if there was like any issues with who
Mhm.
was at fault.
Oddly enough, do you want me to do this one
Huh?
on the insurance?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had the same insurance carrier as the girl that hit Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we have an adjuster, she has an adjuster. And this is something I think is important for anybody to know. We had carried a lot of uninsured motorist coverage,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't carry very much underinsured
Oh,
coverage. So, had we carried a lot of underinsured coverage, what ours was carrying would have paid for things, but we only had it set at 20,000. She had the minimum insurance at 20,000. So for the accident itself, that was going to be the payout. It wouldn't have mattered if it was the same company or not. It didn't matter. But also, our health insurance company put a lien against that for $100,000. So whatever he got from the auto insurance company would have to go to pay his health care bills.
I have never heard of that.
Well, we hadn't either. But Harry Dietzler, who was, he's an attorney and he has practice in Charleston, and also another Facebook friend, kept up with what was going on with Stephen. He had us to his house, sat down and went over this stuff with us.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, do not take that money. Don't take the payout.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't take it because you're not going to get to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't take it. But we didn't know this.
Your medical insurance can take a lien on what your auto insurance payout is.
Yeah, on the medical liability component, yes.
Wow.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah, because you had insurance for if somebody had no insurance, but not because she was underinsured.
Right.
You'd think that would be the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not. And he told, well, and that was another friend of ours that's an insurance agent, then said, always carry more underinsured than, he said, they have to get insurance to get the car license and get their driver's license. So you have to.
So most people are probably
Have
underinsured.
something, but they have, but yeah, but we didn't know.
I'm glad I asked that question because that is definitely so. But you did have medical insurance at the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And really, we did not have, I don't know, maybe 6,000-7,000 out of pocket off the bat, and then whatever we had some out of pocket for the prosthetic because we chose to go out of our network because we wanted to go
to Mark to Miller's. So you were on a work break, right? So
Yeah.
then you took time off of work.
Yeah, 6 months.
Oh, okay. And that fell under just medical leave.
DuPont just pays. They have a 6-month. They'll pay them for 6 months at
What a-
this time.
What a blessing.
And then if you can't come back yet, they would bring you in for 2 days and reset it and send you back home.
Okay.
So that was really good.
Mhm.
So we didn't lose. Financially, it did not hurt us. It could
Mhm.
have, but it didn't.
Yeah. So I often, when people are talking about at the amputee center, their experiences and I mean, every story is different, right?
Yeah.
Each human comes at you differently, and I use Steve as an example because I'll be like, listen, some people have this happen to them, and they go back to a lot of things that they're unsure of, right? I mean, I was like, Steve had a job, had a wife, had a house, had an amputation, had a wife, had a job, had a house, had a family, had support, so there is that sense of peer support and being there for someone. But there's also that when after tragedy happens or after, you find out you need it medically to happen, your support system is so important. Yeah. And preemptively, I think it's a good, and I don't want to say cautionary tale, but like every single day, like check into who's around you because life gets hard fast. And so it's like, do I have a good support system right now? Because you might need it. But there is that sense of sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, I'll figure out tomorrow.
Mm.
But yeah. I mean, I've often thought about that. You stepped out of the hospital into something that was there to catch you,
Yeah.
which is probably why somebody with 9 lives
Yeah.
was given such
But
a support system.
I do want to correct something.
Yeah.
I said I was out for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I was only out for 2 months.
Mm.
The 6 months, I was off for 6 months, but that was 10 years earlier. So,
That was one of his 9 lives. He had cancers.
Okay, well, I was going to ask because I know that you suffer from hearing loss, and that was a result of the chemo.
treatment.
The chemo treatment damaged your hearing. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Again, things that I kind of knew about you, but I wasn't sure which happened first.
Yeah, that
The radiation,
that
right?
treatment was. I lost
I found my.
my saliva glands, the radiation,
Mm-hmm.
and chemo. They said that would happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost. They said that you lose your teeth because you have no saliva, so now your mouth's dry all the time, and you'll lose your teeth, and so that happened as well.
That's why he always has a bottle of water with him.
Mm-hmm. There's no spit.
What's what type of cancer did you have?
I had squamous cell carcinoma of the tonsil.
Wow. Well, and that is also that thought of when you are listed the things that can happen from chemo, but you've had 20 more years,
Yeah.
since then. So, I mean,
Yeah,
It-
and they did say it said you'll have slight hearing loss, but I'm almost total hearing loss. I
mhm.
got total hearing loss in my right ear, and my left ear. As long as I have a hearing aid, I can hear. If not, I can't hear at all.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
How are you doing right now with the headphones?
I'm doing good.
Good. Okay, maybe that's the key. We'll get you some
I-
headphones.
Yeah.
Good.
I read your lips.
Mm-hmm. Well, shoot, I gotta stop saying stuff. You can't tell what I'm saying.
Sometimes you're behind the
the room.
microphone.
Yeah, we talked to Steve. Yeah.
I mean, in everyday life, I'll just be sure to cover my mouth if Steve's around. I'm kidding. So the navigating the insurance, and then you were able to go back to work.
Yeah.
What was your career like? What?
I was a
Like
did I do?
you were a polyckettle operator.
Yeah, polycattle operator.
Mm-hmm.
And
So at
And-
2 months, you were already fitted with a prosthetic.
no, 4
No.
months.
Okay, 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My leg took a long time to heal,
Mm-hmm.
and finally, when they gave me the go ahead, I went to Mark, and he measured it and stuff, and we talked. I said, the half marathon race is coming up, and the 2-mile race at the same day, and I knew I wasn't doing no half. So I did tell him this was on. I got my first leg I got on Thursday, and I said, I want to do the 2-mile.
And Mark probably said,
Well,
"Okay."
Mark said, well, before that happened, I had an eye walk. While I was while Martha was babysitting me at the house, she was looking at makeup or something on the computer to tell her.
I was always looking for some kind of a crutch that would let him have some hands
Mm-hmm.
because he couldn't take himself to the porch with a cup of coffee
Mm-hmm.
unless his sister would come over and help him out during the day, or Amanda maybe if she wasn't working. And I found the crutch on a podiatry website, and it was actually made for people that maybe had a broken limb
Mm-hmm.
and
Ankle.
or needed a boot and
Mhm.
couldn't put weight bearing,
Mhm.
and it was $125. I'm like, getting
Mhm.
it. So it came in. I was getting ready to go. I go every year on a girl trip to the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and it was coming up, and I said, I'm not missing that. I need it.
Care for the caregivers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that eye walk showed up probably a week before I was supposed to leave. It came in the mail. We put it together. He tried it out in the living room, and we went out to dinner that night with friends, and he walked in on that eye walk.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to keep, you ask about therapy,
Mhm.
he was able to keep muscles moving all the
Mhm.
time. When he got that gave him a lot of freedom.
So an eye walk, And I'll share a link. So whenever this podcast is, so it wraps around the thigh, but the knee bends at a 90-degree angle, and
Sits in it.
sits in it, and then the bottom half is what you would think of like a pirate peg leg, but it's like plastic. But
Yeah.
yeah. So we have one at the office, and I pulled it out the other day and showed it to someone in the waiting room,
Yeah.
and used you as an example again. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, you know, this is if your knee will bend and you're below the knee amputee, this might be an option. So, so that is one of those things that, yeah, with crutches, that it gets you around, but your hands are always taken.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
so you're able to go out that night.
Yeah.
Nance and I, we made a video
Mhm.
of me walking on that eye walk,
Mm-hmm.
and her oh, they posted it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Not
They
Facebook,
put it on our
YouTube.
YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk, I saw it or
Mhm.
something, heard about it or whatever. But anyway, they got a hold of Nancy, and they were having something going on down in San Antonio,
Mhm.
and invited me and Martha to go down and spend the weekend showing people.
Nice.
And so, okay, so I did that, and I sold a lot of
sold
legs.
a lot of
You sold a lot of them.
And they weren't there to sell. They were just there to advertise,
Mm-hmm.
and they were shipping them from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Those, yeah, I don't know how anybody gets around without them. Like
Mhm.
all amputees should know about them.
Well, but
And you use it still.
there are people that just can't.
they
Mhm.
just can't get the balance.
Can't. And,
We recently talked to a girl, and I was really hoping it would work, and her knee doesn't bend that
Okay.
far.
yeah.
I was like, oh, that would have been amazing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but you know, there's that sense of like every person that faces loss can find a sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, you lost your foot, but your knee can bend, and you were able to do that part of it. And as you were saying, the amputee that came to Encompass to see him that had pants on, you know, Steve a lot of times comes into the center and is helping with stuff and around people that don't know him, you know, regular fitness class people. And, you know, because you move so well with the prosthetic and you're wearing long jeans, nobody even knows.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
a testament to that muscle development and keeping moving right after. So if the accident happened in April and then you were leaving for the girls' trip and he was getting fitted for a leg, and then the race was in August.
Yeah. It was in August when I was getting fitted for the leg.
Mm-hmm.
Because they couldn't fit him because it was
And,
swelling so bad.
I got my leg, and I walked out of the office on it. And Mark, I like saying it. Mark said that he'd been in business 27 years, and I was the first person to walk out of the office on their leg. And I always said because I had an eye walk.
Mm.
Well, a year later, he calls me. He said, "Hey, guess what? Somebody just walked out on their leg." And it was Curtis.
Oh,
And he said, guess what? He had an eye walk.
Yep.
wow. Huge testament.
Well,
Yeah.
you asked about the therapy, and there was that little stint at Health South, and that was it.
That's it.
That was it. And if it hadn't been for I walk, he would have been crutching and in a wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
or a chair
Mm-hmm.
till August.
And that's what therapists need to, I mean, the thought process, like I've said, is if I stood here on one foot and just set a timer for 5 minutes and just swung my leg, I would start to feel pull in my hip. I would start to feel things change in, you know, imbalance, and then no pressure back on the bone into the hip joint, all that stuff that happens when there's not, when that pressure's gone. And that was 10 years ago. And Brian was 30 years ago. You know, so it's like the idea that like what we're doing now at the amputee center, nobody's done it.
Yeah.
Nobody's said, let's get you up and get you in here twice a week, doing all the things in any type of the process, right after the amputation, or, you know, waiting for it to be adjusted or fitted differently. And even with the OU students, with the PT students here at Ohio University, like letting them see this stuff and think about, like, because that is the biggest thing they say is they don't ever have an experience with an amputee. So even if they see one amputee one time when they visit with us, and down the road in their future they see another one, they can at least say, I have something to pull from this knowledge. And that is the biggest thing that we hear is people were just, you're just sent home, and nobody
Yeah.
knows if you have stairs, nobody knows if you have support. And not only did you have support, you had a race on your schedule.
Yeah. Yeah. I got my legs Thursday afternoon, and Saturday morning, Martha, Amanda, my sister, Terry, Nancy, and Mark. And Nancy had family in town from California, and even they walked with me that 2-mile race.
What was the race?
The homecoming.
Parkersburg homecoming.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Parkersburg homecoming.
And there's a newspaper article.
Yeah,
about
there was a guy that Nancy and Mark knew that was out taking photographs, and so he took photographs of me walking,
Mm-hmm.
and
Great story. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hanging in the exam room
Yeah.
1 at the office.
And
Yeah.
it's Fort Belpre too, the
Mhm.
lobby.
Yeah. You're famous.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So in all that rehabilitation time, with the family, what was the experience like for you guys? Did you feel like you needed to do for him?
I always felt like I was never doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
And
And he was probably telling you,
I
please
did
stop.
too. I
Yeah.
agreed. No, I agree with her.
You tell him she wasn't doing enough.
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't really know we didn't know what to expect, or
Mhm.
and I don't think I had met Mark and Nancy yet until maybe the 2-mile race.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you weren't at the appointments.
no,
Mhm.
but
Well, what advice? I usually say this for the end, but
Mhm.
for in this moment, what would you tell a family
well, so
member to do?
in this moment, knowing what I know now,
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice if, especially all the doctors that are in our area, at least in this Mid Ohio Valley area,
Mm-hmm.
that can know about the amputee center. Like, you've got to, that therapy is so important even before you even have your prosthesis, that muscle,
Mhm.
building that muscle, and knowing how to care for your residual limb,
Mm-hmm.
keeping the shrinkers on,
Mm-hmm.
how important that is. Like, we still have amputees that have had the prosthesis for years, and oh, my leg's getting swollen. Well, you need to put your shrinker on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and just just constantly trying. Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that because you work for Mark and Nancy.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, I do.
Mm.
I work for Miller Prosthetics and Orthotics.
Now it's a family.
Yeah.
Now it's a family affair. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is probably 8 years late after the amputation.
Yes, yeah.
Before you went
I've only
back
been there
down
for
here.
2 years. Yeah. So, what I would, so when after, I don't know if you'll get into this, but after he met Mark and Nancy, Nancy had talked about wanting, like, she would have wanted a group
Mhm.
for the amputees to get together and talk.
Mhm.
And I remember going to Shoney's, like, we would meet at Shoney's,
Mhm.
and just talk, because there was no amputee center.
Mhm.
So they would still get together. Like, she had this vision, and
That's
true.
That's what she did.
Yeah.
And look at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the importance of peer support and the understanding is so powerful, and it's what we hear even when they were just at the international convention of nobody can understand what Martha went through, what the support person goes through. Nobody can really understand what the amputee went through, especially when it was trauma, right?
Mm.
Nobody really understands when you're the daughter of, like that peer support is so important. And you can say, oh, I'm here to listen to you and I
Mhm.
care. And it does help. It does help. But I think the importance is that you all, could be support for someone, or someone who is the wife, the caregiver of somebody who's a go-getter and brings home a paycheck and is always busy. And now and you have a life and a girls trip coming up, and you absolutely deserve that. And I think it just brings up all of those questions of, like, how do you honor that each person still needs to have,
Right.
their life, but then also support him. And if he ran before, he should be able to run again, and to have the support system to show up and cheer you on. And it wasn't because you wanted the newspaper article, right? It was
Yeah.
because it was because maybe in your delusional trauma you said you were going to do it, and then you're like, I just committed to like everybody that I was doing this. So doing the race on a leg that wasn't a running leg, it was just your
Right,
first
it was just a-
prosthetic, right?
And I didn't run. I just walked.
Mhm.
And it was still the test socket, wasn't it?
Yeah, my
It wasn't
test
even
socket,
the.
yeah. Wasn't even my real socket, just my test socket.
Mhm. And so you did it, and that was
Yeah.
that was a big deal.
I was, and I have never done a half marathon again. Although I believe I could if I just wanted to train for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did several 2 miles and
Mhm.
half
5Ks.
and 5Ks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The when you look at like the surgeon or the follow-up surgeries and things like that, did they ever recommend that you have revisions after they did that one in the hospital? No. Mm-mm. No. So, and I guess they probably just left enough residual limb so that they, it was the right amount to have. Yeah.
Yeah, they left enough there.
His is long
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
still.
and but I think Mark told me that I really didn't need, unless it's just damages that they wanted to get taken care of, that it didn't have to be shorter. That he can deal with it.
Have you ever had phantom pain? Where
I had. I've not had phantom pain for quite some time.
Oh no. Let's get the truth from the wife here.
You can cut this out, right? If he has to pee really bad, his foot burns
Right.
like fire.
It still does that. If I have the urge, I really have to pee, my left foot burns.
The foot that's not there.
The foot is not there.
That's amazing.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's a nerve thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's the human body's amazing, right? And so when those nerves get disrupted,
But that full bladder pushes something.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I would leaving that in there. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Can you do you have sensation with the foot, the phantom, any sensations?
Yeah. No, it's not much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have that phantom pain, but
What was your like during the trauma and then afterwards, like your pain levels, and how did you manage it?
Yeah, I never took much as far as pills for pain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall having much pain.
Mm-hmm.
They had him on a couple of drugs. They used gabapentin and the oxy, and he, because of the cancer, doesn't have saliva, so he can't really swallow pills very well. So I would have to crunch those. Well, I started weaning him unbeknownst to him because I didn't want him on the oxy for any length of time at all. So when he would ask for a pain pill, I would crunch up a Tylenol. And if he complained more and I could tell he was really in pain, then I would have given him the other. But I didn't want him getting addicted to that stuff. And I know it happens to people. So he only stayed on, actually, when I left on my vacation. And I will say this, we have a very big family. They're very close knit. So when I teased about going on that girls trip, was never going to be a problem because there were so many people that were able to take up the slack.
Right.
But I don't even remember what I was going to say about that. But he didn't need the medicine. And I just
By
took it away. By the time I went on my girl trip, he wasn't on anything but Tylenol. Before I left, I did tell him, I said, I haven't been giving you this, but it's here. If something happens, if it's really bad and you need it. But he didn't. So.
Well, that's a blessing.
I mean, a big, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it was maybe not very nice, but I wouldn't have let him be in pain, but I also didn't want him taking something if he really didn't need it.
Yeah. And I think that again, with maybe the way that the trauma happened and the nerve endings and everything that there's people who have a lot of different experiences. So
Yeah.
so the way that the accident happened maybe also was a blessing, right? Like it just wasn't the right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, and the epidural. I mean, I really don't know how much did that epidural.
Oh, you're right. I
That
forgot.
was what it was supposed to stop was phantom pain.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it did because she said nerves have memory,
Right.
and we want to wipe that memory out.
Mm-hmm. I have never heard that before, but I think, I mean, even if that was being done 10 years ago, that's worth mentioning for sure. Yeah. So you went back to work and then you just worked till retirement? Was work pretty
Oh, no, I went back to work in 2015, 16,
A
Mhm.
couple of months
15,
after,
yeah.
a friend would.
and retired in 2019.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
So you're
And
able.
that was actually not even because oh
no, if I was an
because you're
amputee.
hearing.
Yeah, I hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I was in acrylics for 25 years, and then they closed it down, and I went to the powerhouse. And in the powerhouse, they communicate with walkie-talkies, and when you're out in the powerhouse, it's loud. And I was there 6 months, and I said, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, that is again blessing that you could get back to work
Yeah.
and do all that.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people I can't, would lose their leg, and their job wouldn't be secure like that.
Right, right. So, you know, the biggest thing that I like to focus on is relationships, you know, because there are people that that I've interviewed already that didn't meet till after the amputation.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that were together throughout the whole process, even if it was multiple surgeries. Obviously, Martha's sitting here. And you know, I feel like there's been a big focus on that, but you know, is there anything that you know, as somebody's navigating, you know, a trauma, an accident, going into relationship and continuing it, that you know, advice or points of?
I guess we just do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. I don't. He handled it so well, so that was a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I would have not. If it had been on the, should have been on the other foot.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
Amputee jokes.
I've not done. I've not done anything.
No, I would have been probably still in a fetal position somewhere. I don't know how well I would have dealt with it, but he did fine. And we have like the huge support group of family and friends that have always been there to take up slack if we needed it. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Yep. And sometimes maybe he's angry about it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's just mad at me.
Maybe he's just
I
mad.
don't know.
Maybe he's just mad at you.
And I still do what I did then. I mean,
Did you have times? I mean, but really, like moments you may have forgotten and you stood up, or
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time, not long after, I got a restroom, go to pee at night, and I used a walker, and I walked in, put the walker over top of past the commode. I stepped back and forgot the walker, and crushed right down on that, right on the end of that foot or leg, and oh, that hurt. Stayed there for a little while.
And was
I
there a
wanted to
pivot?
cry.
Oh, never mind.
That was different.
Oh, I thought that was that night.
It was a nickel.
Okay, you have to tell me now.
Oh, I can't.
You can't.
I can later.
We'll leave that for later. We'll leave that.
Yeah, that was another thing that like maybe there's something that a new amputee actually I think that people do still maybe get out of bed and forget even after years of not having, but maybe there's something they can do, like put something on the side of your bed, like maybe a child safety guard that you put there just as oh, that's right, I can't just get out of bed. Because he did that many times.
And that I ask it because I do hear that a lot, like just stood
Yeah.
straight up and fell right in. Yeah. But I have said too, the part of this job is I had to get really used to amputee humor. Like at first you're like, We're
Right.
supposed to laugh. Am I allowed to laugh at this?
Silent.
Now I make all the jokes. Like if the shoe
Yeah.
was on the other, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, and I think it's very human, no matter what. You know, if you can't do something that you want to do, that you're allowed to get frustrated, and you're allowed to have a moment of like, why me? And you're allowed, but you just can't stay there for very long. You know, you can have the moment, but you gotta. Okay, fine. So after I've heard some stories and I've seen some stuffed animals.
Oh yeah.
So what what are some of your fun adventures in retirement as an amputee?
hmm Well, I still elk hunt,
Mm.
bear hunt, and hike, backpack. I
Mhm.
My best adventure was Devil's Causeway in Colorado. It was 12,000 feet,
Mhm.
and me and my buddy who lived out there, we did that one.
Mhm.
And I don't know what else.
We just went a 5 mile this past weekend.
Oh yeah, Marcia and I hiked 5 miles at
Hawking
way up
Hills.
here at Hawking Hills.
Nice. And was it
Devil's or
was it
the
hot?
Mhm.
It was pretty hot this weekend.
It was.
You-
Down in those
Mhm.
gorges, it's a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't run, we walked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So your
Fun trip.
your most recent one, there was a bear.
Yeah,
Yeah. So where was that?
that was in northern Saskatchewan, Canada.
Okay. And
Yeah.
So you went? Did you go by yourself?
What?
No, did you go alone?
No, there was 6 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we flew up there, flew to Saskatoon, and then drove from Saskatoon. It was a 14-hour drive. Yeah.
Wow. And the bear didn't have a chance.
No.
No. You were bringing him home. I'll have to have a whole file linked to this podcast so people can see the picture of this bear. And you know, the first question when the picture of the bear was posted, the first question I heard out of somebody's mouth was, "Martha let that thing in her house?"
I tried not to, but it's not as obnoxious where it is.
Mm.
He thought it would go when you walk in our house. We have an entryway,
Mhm.
and that's where he thought he would put it, but he didn't.
It's in the man cave.
It's in the man cave,
see,
yes.
I-
And then we do have a
Only because it
man
didn't fit.
cave.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow.
I personally with my house, but I thought it would have looked really cool mounted standing up like that in the entryway too. So- but I wouldn't have to look it
Oh
up.
my gosh. Did you was that bow hunting?
Yes, but
Wow. I mean, that's a lot to be celebrated. Bow hunting at 46 years old.
Mhm.
You're
Plus
66.
10.
Yeah.
66 now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's 66 now, plus 20. Bow hunting in Saskatchewan, and you brought home a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna
There's
say-
a record book there.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
It made Pope and Young.
Golf.
That's bow and arrow.
Mm.
And where they score a bear is the width plus the length of the skull. And it has to be at least 18 inches. And mine was, at the time, when it was green score, 20 and 3/16. And then after it dried for 60 days, then it was 19 and 15/16. So it made the record book. Plenty of room.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I don't know anything about this. So you hiked and you just wait and you just
Yeah, you
Like-
get in a tree and you wait, and they come up the tree and look at you, and they go back down, and they'll come up the tree again.
wow. Okay. Okay. Well, and then wait, didn't you lose the bear in the flight? Wasn't there something?
Oh,
yeah.
yes, that was a mess.
You flew a whole. How much did it weigh?
We didn't weigh it. I know wait,
It was just the hide,
Oh, the
At
hide.
home.
The hide came
yeah,
home.
just a
the
hide.
skull, and
And the hide, and then you had a taxidermist mount it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, but anyway, so it got
Well,
lost.
it got lost, and it got lost because I had my bow case, and some lady from NS was it
TSA.
yeah, in TSA, she came by and she was just talking to us. We're standing there, and she bends down and put a tag on my case. But I didn't know. I didn't ask her to even look. But we're still sitting around, and then I get a phone call, and
This was in
TSA
Minneapolis.
at the airport in Minneapolis, and she asked if I was still there, and I said, yeah. Well, she said, well, could you come out here at this door? I'd like to talk to you. So I told the guys I gotta go. I went out there, and her and another guy was standing there with my boat case, and they talked while I was walking up. And when I got there, she just turned and walked off. And me and that guy was standing there, and he says to me, "We're talking about this. What's going to happen?" He said, "She's going to go get the police. This may be serious." And I thought, what? Yeah, you had this firearm in here, and you should have had it checked. I said, "Wait a minute, that's not a firearm. It's a bow." And so they had pulled all my stuff off and didn't put it on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And we had taken off before they ever got it back on. And so when we got to Columbus, everybody got their bears, but I didn't.
Oh.
And so we waited and waited, and they were looking for it and never showed up. So I got home. In 2 or 3 days, I'm calling people, checking, nothing. Finally, I called Charleston once or
We're
twice.
supposed to send it to Charleston because that was our closest airport.
Yeah, we flew. That's right, we did fly to Charleston.
No, you flew into Columbus, but they sent your bear to Charleston.
Oh, that's right, they sent my bear to Charleston.
Our house.
My gosh.
And but I called Charleston, and they said no, it's not here. Well, it wasn't long. They were calling me. Your bear's here and it stinks. Yeah.
Oh,
Can
like
you
please
come and get
come
it?
get
I
it.
said I'll be right there. And so I got it and put it on ice and brought it back home. And my taxidermist, Bill Mason, he was able to save it. He wasn't sure, but he was able to save it.
Wow,
So
that's wild.
yeah.
It literally wild. So, okay, so what is life like now, 10 years after going through all of this?
Yeah, 10 years. I wouldn't change a thing. I told
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
I told Mark one time, I said, if I knew I was going to have this much fun, I'd done it a long time ago.
That is something.
We've
Mhm.
made so many friends through, actually, through
Yeah.
Mark and Nancy because he lost his legs. So
Mhm.
there's the upside.
Mhm. Oh, I tell people all the time when they joke with me, I'm like, well, you had to lose a leg to meet me. So,
Here you are.
yeah. And actually, Martha, you two are you were founding members, right? You're founding members of the nonprofit, which is super cool. And you were on the board and helped set up all of our very important rules and board governance and all of that.
Well, and really, when I left the board, we had finally purchased our last big item that we wanted, which was the walking track.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I can be done now. Yeah. And then Steve finished last year, and our grandson's on now.
Yes. Yep. Cameron is now on the board.
Amanda's son. Yeah.
Yeah. We are. You guys are. You cannot get away from us.
Or you guys can't get away from us.
I don't know. Yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, being a founding member and seeing like just sitting in the back of Shoney's, just being able to talk and then seeing what we can do today, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where we have, so many people coming in, getting PT and hitting milestones. And we now have 3 amputees that started with us, and they are now coming into the regular fitness classes with confidence, moving in the community and being beacons of hope too, because that's what I tell people. I'm like, you could come in with your own inhibitions of like, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible enough, I'm not big enough, tall enough, blah 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 blah, whatever, small enough, all the stuff that goes into your head. And then you walk in if you're in sharing the room with somebody that has such bigger mountains to climb for whatever reason, obviously, you kind of have a hard time feeling sorry for yourself. And we hear that every week. At least one person's like, well, not going to complain anymore.
Right.
You know, and you know, of course, nobody chooses that life to be that beacon of hope for somebody. But you know, the fact that you guys were an instrumental part of starting that like vision of, you know, from the back of Shoney's, just the idea that Mark and Nancy had, to doing the podcast before you guys got here virtually with somebody, and now we can share stories from all over the world and reach people all over the world. That's pretty amazing in 4 years.
Yeah.
Only 4 years since the doors open.
And
How cool.
I remember you were talking about helping people. When Marley came, her and her sister came with her, and it was just I mean, she's a young girl, I guess, but a young person is what caught my attention. And
She's 13. She was 13 when she came in.
Yeah, she was having trouble getting around and stuff, but now look at her. Oh my gosh.
Actually, this morning she was there at 9. She hung all the silks last night, and she helped with the ARC summer camp, kids with disabilities.
Yeah.
And I didn't stay. There was another board member there, and she hooked it all up and she cleaned it up, and we were very proud of her progress.
Yeah,
and
I'm very proud of her.
that the idea that she even said it for peer support. She's like, I came in as a 13-year-old girl and all these old men. I'm like, that's your peer support.
And I remember Dory, when she first came, we would have to sit around on Tuesday night and talk and introduce yourself and what you wanted to do. And I remember her saying, I want to be like him.
Point at you.
Point at me. And now look at her.
Oh,
She
yeah.
does better than I do. She's just,
She does not miss a beat. Nope. She's up and moving. So Amanda, in your journey of, you know, being the daughter and experiencing it all, and then, you know, the job opening happened in the Miller's office. You know, like just quick, like, perspective of, like you said, is you see what people need to do now. But in general, like, what advice would you just give anybody coming in as a patient
As a new patient.
or as a family member, you know, because that's the stuff that we don't really talk about.
Well, I mean, I guess for myself, I'd probably direct them to him, but if it was my family, but it's like I said before, that peer support, the amputee center is a huge, like, that really helped him, you know? And just being around other people that are going through the same thing and knowing, and like you said, like, he is an amputee, but he could look at someone else that may be a double amputee and say, okay, mine's not so bad. But yeah, just not like, just don't give up. Like, that's why I tell everybody, I'm like, at new patients that come into Miller, I will show them, I'll show them a picture of my dad because he's all over the building. And I'll say, you know, it may seem like, especially younger people, it may seem like it's the end of the world right now, but, you know, in a few months you may be, you know, you'll be doing, you know, walking around like you did before. And some of them, you can tell that they're very discouraged and they really don't think that's going to happen. But and then a few months down the road, sure enough, here they come, and things are so much better for them, you know. And then you can, the emotions, the depression, you know, and that's another thing too. Like, you've got to acknowledge what you're feeling, and, you know, don't bury it. Just, I don't know.
I'd say for people to reach out for help when you know, and if there's not resources, and there hasn't been, is that's what we're doing now. Right. Like the emotional support, the peer support, the family support, giving, you know, we do a gold medal at our mixers every month. And I often say, I'm like, I want to give a gold medal to that wife that I see walking across the parking lot, pushing the wheelchair with the prosthetic leg balancing her shoulder. So many times I want, like, yes, the amputee needs celebrated, but those the family support and the ones that have to show up and do a little bit extra is like, wait, do we have a gold medal category for that
Right.
too?
And also, like maybe something that's, I don't know if this is something the Amputee Center has done, but something for children of newly amputated parents
Mm-hmm.
that young children that do not know how to process this.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, we definitely have resources. We have a couple books and some things on the resource wall. And I would say anybody, listening to this with that question, now we have Carrie Lett, and she's a certified peer specialist. And she's a nurse practitioner, and she minored in psychology. And she is an amputee as well. So I feel like whatever that need is, as you see it, even as a staff, we at the Amputee Center are more equipped than we've ever been, because I've definitely, even in the last couple of days, as we're getting phone calls 3 or 4 a week of new amputees or somebody who is new to us that has been underserved. And so it's like, I don't not have the answers all the time, but I will figure it out. I will ask other people. We'll use other nonprofits and other resources that we can, until we can figure it out. And we paired up somebody with Tiffany that's a double amputee that wants to drive yesterday, and someone who was donating a wheelchair to an amputee that needed a battery. Like those little things that when you say we've hit a wall, we don't know what to do, we're sitting here and we don't know what the resources are. Well, I might not know either, but I can put the beacon out. And as a nonprofit, we can just, really use other nonprofits or do the resources that we have, especially with like Amputee Coalition's website, or just calling somebody. And that's the thing of like you guys saying, Mark Miller, yeah, he's standing out here. Sarah, I just to keep looking for like, there has to be something else, or there has to be something better. So, is there anything else you guys would like to add? Mental, emotional journey?
I guess for me, from the caregiver perspective, it was harder for me to go through cancer with him than this. But I always didn't allow people to be negative around him, ever. Even if I might be feeling negative, I didn't let him see it. I might go get in my car and let fly, but I did not. And I would tell people, if you're going to be negative, then don't come. But nobody ever was. Everybody was always very positive, and I think that's the most important thing for the caregiver, because if the person you're taking care of is down, then that brings you down. But if you can kind of keep them positive, don't let them feel like they have to take care of you.
Yeah, you're human, but knowing that you have to take care of your own mental health, your own mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, going out and going for a walk, or, screaming at the steering wheel, whatever. I think that's huge. I sat in with some roundtables at the coalition just for the caregivers. And it's that perspective of, just because they're an amputee, they're human and their personality matters. And if this was an issue before the amputation, it's not going to make it go away, and it's probably going to amplify it. And that you don't have to do it alone, and being your own advocate, finding prosthetist that works for you, all of that stuff is so important. And that's for anybody, right? Every single day, whether you're calling for a chiropractor or a dentist or whatever, like, you still have to like make sure that you jive with the person that's taking care of you. And if you are hearing this and you're not happy in an office you're in, there has to be a better provider for you, and keep searching. So, and I find that interesting. I guess the amputation, you knew he was going to survive. You knew, like, okay, you survived the wreck. Now we just have to manage this prosthetic leg. Yeah. So I'm sure there was days with cancer you questioned what the
Oh, that was bad.
prognosis.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was very,
It's a
very
long
sick.
time.
And yeah, I mean, he wound up in transitional care for a long time. I came to Clark, and it's kind of like a nursing home, and they would wheel him out to the day room. And I said, we're too young for this to be. But his gallbladder went wacko in the midst of cancer treatments. So he was having all these side effects, but that was part of it, was he was so sick. So right after he finished all the treatments, he had his gallbladder out. And then he actually started to get better. But yeah, that was way worse than this was a piece of cake by comparison for me.
Yeah. No,
Not for him, but
that's no.
I think for him too. And he's mourned the loss of that Harley more than he did the leg, and still does.
Anything else you'd like to share, Steve?
No, I'm good.
You're like, I'm done. I've cried more today than I have all year. I'm like, well, I'm so grateful for you guys being the founding members and making this happen, and Amanda for all the work that you do now. And it's a team effort, every day. So, we're what we share today is going to help somebody, and we may never ever see the effects. So, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this episode of My Missing Piece. Be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and join the conversation. Let's rewrite the narrative together.